Good day, everyone. First of all, I would like to apologize if I can't open my camera as I am currently at my dormitory, which really has a very poor internet connection. But anyways, for today, we're going to tackle an article published way back 2020 titled as The Social Media Commons, Public Sphere Agonism and Algorithmic Obligation by Brian J. Collins, Jose Marichal, and Richard Neve, who are all current professors at California Lutheran University in California. Mainly, this study provides a critical lens on the role of platforms like Facebook and Twitter in shaping our civic discourse. But before we delve deeper on the overview of this article, let me first introduce you all to the authors of this study. The first author is Brian J. Collins. He is an associate professor of philosophy in the said university. His main research interests lie in ethics and political philosophy, particularly in the area of political obligation, and he also works as well at the intersection of ethical and political philosophical theories. Next is Jose Marichal, a professor of political science as well in the university. His expertise focuses on the role that social media and algorithms play in restructuring social and political behavior and institutions. Currently, upon my research, he is also working on a book about algorithmic problem, which is set to be published in year 2025. Lastly, we have Richard Nib, an adjunct or visiting lecturer of political science at California Lutheran University as well. His research areas include agonistic democracy, the constitution of law, and theorizing law beyond liberalism. These authors, each with their distinct area of expertise, Collins with a focus on political obligation, Marshall on social media and algorithms, and Nived in agonistic democracy have come together to explore the critical question of social media platforms' role in democratic discourse. Mainly, the study reframes social media platforms as more than just private businesses. Instead, it considers them as custodians of a public sphere, which is defined as a shared space essential for democratic conversation. Literally in context, as the authors argue that social media platforms profit from a public good through people's collective discourse, there's what this term called as the common pool resource, which is described as if mismanaged it can be depleted, much like water or other natural resources that are available to people by consumption. Meaning, just as we must take care in how we use these resources to ensure that they aren't damaged, social media platforms have a responsibility to protect and sustain the quality of public discourse. The health of this public sphere depends on how these platforms manage the flow of information, ensuring that it fosters meaningful and respectful civic dialogue rather than being consumed in ways that degrades its value. Now, why does this matter? Platforms like Facebook and Twitter used algorithms to prioritize content. I remember way back last year in my subject in political economy that we've already delved deeper into what an algorithm is. And this simply put again, an algorithm is a set of rules or instructions that computers follow to process information. On platforms like Facebook or Twitter and other social media platforms as well, these algorithms decide what content gets shown to users based on their own behavior and preferences. Essentially, they're the invisible system that controls what we see on social media, prioritizing certain posts or ads while using others aside. Algorithms are a powerful tool, but as the authors highlight, they often prioritize sensational or divisive content because it grabs attention and keeps users engaged. This makes algorithms as the central topic or central theme or element on this discussion of how social media platforms can both shape and influence public discourse. Let's take a closer look at the opening part of this article, which lays the foundation of its arguments. The authors raise critical questions. Do social media companies have an obligation to the public sphere as well as the civic discourse therein? Must corporations such as Facebook and Twitter protect and encourage productive, civically minded discourse among their users? If they should, what is the basis of this obligation? For instance, Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook app founder, has spoken as well about their platform's role in fostering informed and civically engaged communities. In his 2017 blog post, he was explicit in his desire for the platform to host an informed and civically engaged community. He asked these two specific questions. First, how do we help people build an informed community that exposes us to new ideas and builds common understanding in a world where every person has a voice? And second, how do we help people build a civically engaged community in a world where participation in voting sometimes includes less than half our population? However, the authors argue again that these statements should not just be seen as empty words or statement only. Instead, they invite us to think seriously about the relationship between social media companies and the public sphere. The central claim here is that social media companies profit from a public good, the discourse on their platforms. And as with any public good, there is an obligation that must be sustained. This frames the debate that are these companies meets their obligations to sustain healthy discourse? The answer lies in the sections which my co-presenter will discuss in the latter part of this article. But for now, let's think about the profound implications of these platforms profiting from and potentially decreasing a critical democratic discourse. First, let's explore the concept of fiduciary responsibility, especially in the context of social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook. So, despite Twitter's excessive words about contributing to civil conversation and helping develop an informed community, it would be blind to overlook their core role as publicly traded companies. So, what is fiduciary responsibility? It is described as the legal and ethical obligation of corporate officers to act in best interest of their shareholders, often with the goal of maximizing profits. As Milton Friedman, an American economist and statistician, famously argued that this responsibility is what drives companies to focus on maximizing shareholders' wealth, which he called as the great virtue of corporate governance. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter are no different in this regard. While they claim to foster democratic conversation, their actions often conflict with this ideal when it comes to their business models and priorities. On the other hand, Ethan Zuckerman, an American blogger and internet activist, has famously referred to business Facebook business model as the internet original sin. What he meant here is that by providing free access to the platform in exchange for ownership of user data, Facebook as well as Twitter commodifies users' personal information to be sold to be sold to the advertisers. This business model is referred to as platform capitalism, where innovation is driven by the need to keep users engaged on the platform longer to extract more data. In a way, users becomes the product. This conflict between the rhetoric of civil discourse and the drive for profit leads to behaviors contrary to what the platforms claims to stand for or what they advocate as public good or civic discourse. Platforms use behavioral science techniques and algorithms to manipulate user behavior, maximizing engagement to capture more data, which will eventually benefit their company. This competition for attention even resulted for Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings to remark an interesting sentiment that sleep was their largest competitor, meaning very obvious and very self-explanatory interesting thought that when users sleep, basically and obviously, they will turn off their Wi-Fi or mobile data and will probably close their phones, which will result for an essential disconnection from the platform. This highlights how just intense the battle for user engagement has become among many social media apps. Platforms are designed to keep us hooked, capitalizing on our attention to maximize profits through data collection and targeted advertising. The constant push to retain users' attention, even at the expense of their personal well-being, further illustrates the problematic nature of business model that prioritizes engagement over the quality or ethical implications of the content being consumed. Earlier, we discussed how the business model of social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter prioritizes user engagement, often at the expense of the quality of public discourse. Now, let's look at another issue or idea which is called as the marketplace of ideas view. Basically, this view treats platforms like Twitter as neutral spaces where ideas naturally compete, with the best ones supposedly rising to the top. However, this perspective ignores the larger picture. Social media companies are not just facilitating discourse, but rather they also influence its health and quality through their design choices, algorithms, and profit-driven priorities. The marketplace analogy assumes a level playing field where all voices have an equal chance to be heard. Yet, again, as what I am saying, algorithms often amplify divisive or sensationalist content, skewing the competition. Moreover, the marketplace idea or view also assumes users are rational users who can evaluate ideas fairly. However, some cognitive biases, echo chambers, and misinformation can distort decision-making processes, which can lead to harmful ideologies. Instead of fostering healthy debate, these platforms risk in creating fragmented communities that are less likely to engage constructively with one another. So, in conclusion, we've seen that the authors of this study, with the usage of other references as well, argue that social media platforms are indeed not just supposed to be solely business, but also custodians of a public sphere or a public good, which carries significant responsibilities in fostering the democratic dialogue. By drawing on their expertise in political philosophy, social media, and agonism, the authors emphasize that these platforms must go beyond simply as engaging users, but rather they must also ensure that they promote meaningful and respectful discourse. However, the relationship between the platform's fiduciary responsibility or trust to shareholders and their duty to the public sphere complicates this role. The market-driven nature of these companies, shaped by algorithms that prioritizes engagement over the quality of discourse, presents a challenge to maintaining healthy civic conversations. In the next sections of this article, my co-presenters of this study or article will dive deeper into the various conceptions of political obligation, agonism, and social media commons, and how do these ideas can be used to evaluate both the ethical obligations of social media companies and the algorithmic biases that influence public discourse. So that's all on my end. Thank you so much for listening.